love being with you guys every Sunday evening, wherever you're watching me from, either your bedroom, your living room, your TV rooms. It's always nice to be with you. And if you haven't had a very good day so far, forget about it. Woman 360 is here to just cheer you up. And of course, if it's been good, let's end it even on a better note. This is Woman 360 and I am Judy Ngulube. We're talking about an issue that is quite silent in society, but is very deep, especially when it affects you. What am I talking about? We are talking about how not having a child can affect a woman's life, a woman's character, what she becomes or what she thinks about herself, her self-esteem, as well as what it just does to her as an entire female, as an entire human being. What is this all about? It's silent, but it is deep when it affects you. So I've got guests just to help me talk about this, to tackle it on a very comprehensive kind of way. I've got a medical doctor who's going to be giving me the medical perspective. We've got the traditionalists. Of course, they're always having a perspective in terms of the custom, where we're coming from, and how some of these things can be tackled in a manner that is accustomed to us as Zambians, as Africans. I'll also be going into the streets of Lusaka just to hear what people think of this and how deep this is rooted in our society. And of course, we have the church as well. The church always preaches love. It always has a solution in the Bible. So these are my guests, and this is what we are talking about today on Woman 360. All right, so first up, we're going to be talking to a medical doctor who's going to be giving us the medical perspective. There are so many solutions when it comes to a woman having difficulty in conceiving. There are solutions, and sometimes those solutions fail. So how then do you move forward as a female, as a couple, you and your partner? How then do you really say we've tried all options possible, all science possible, and nothing can still happen? But let's get to the options and maybe the reasons as to why you cannot have a child or a particular person cannot have a child. Here is the medical doctor.
Infertility, or what we refer to as barrenness, is quite common in our country. And as a hospital here at UTH, we see quite a number of women presenting with problems of barrenness. And generally, in our outpatient, we may see up to even a quarter of women presenting with gynae problems. They might be associated with infertility issues. Yeah, so it's a very big problem, though it's not very well known. Most people do suffer quite silent problem like that without much being talked about it and being stigmatized by society for not having children and things like that. It's a very common problem. First and foremost, from the onset, we need to mention that infertility is an issue that concerns the couple. So it's not to say that if a couple is failing to have a child, then automatically you have to point at a woman as being the cause. Yes, in our practice, actually, we do tell people that infertility is a couple's problem, and both of them need to present to us and be checked. But in general, about a third of infertility in a couple may be caused by a woman. Another third of the causes may be attributed to a man. And sometimes it may be as a result of both individuals having issues that may prevent them from having a child. And sometimes, even if you do an assessment, you may not be able to straight away point to the cause. So I would say roughly, if it's to do with a woman, it might be up to a third of the causes may be attributed to a woman, but she's not the only reason that a couple may not have a child. Men tend to push their women in front, as it were, to say, me, I'm fine, you go and get checked. Because obviously the one who presents as being pregnant is a woman, and as long as she's not becoming pregnant, automatically you think that the problem is with her. So in general, we do first of all see women coming alone, but after seeing them and discussing with them, we as much as possible encourage them to come with their spouse so that we check both of them, and we encourage so that they know what is happening and what we're trying to do about it. And if they require treatment, they are treated together. Even if the problem is with a woman, at least the man will be able to support her, because being pregnant is not a one-person issue. So if she's pregnant, obviously she will need the partner to support her during that pregnancy, even the time that she's trying to get pregnant. Yeah, so like we said, it may be because of a woman or a man or both of them, or sometimes we may not know. But in general, we tend to have issues to do with infection. These are infection of the reproductive system. For instance, you may have a common condition that we may refer to as a pelvic inflammatory disease caused by different infection that may, in the end up damaging the woman's tubes, as it were, resulting in infertility. But obviously, we do have other causes. For instance, people who may be on certain chemotherapy medication, they might cause them to lose their fertility. And people who may be exposed to certain environmental chemicals or radiation, as it were, that may cause infertility. Other things that may result in infertility, obviously, may be things like somebody's makeup of the reproductive system is not complete. So as a result, they may present with an issue of failing to conceive. Contraceptives do not cause infertility unless you're talking about a permanent one, which we call a BTL, or bilateral tubal ligation. That one is a deliberate induced infertility, meaning that a woman has decided to stop having children and she seeks a permanent method of stopping to conceive, and therefore she undergoes that kind of contraceptive. But these other types that we have are easily reversible.
Regardless of how early you started using them?
Regardless, to say they don't cause permanent infertility after stopping using them. Okay. So equally in the men, infection may be a cause that may damage their sperm tubes. And sometimes they may be exposed to certain environmental factors, like we looked at in a woman, chemicals or radiation, or sometimes they may be exposed to certain work environment where there's excessive heat, which affects the production of their sperm. So that may cause them to have maybe a low sperm count. Or if their tubes are severely damaged, it may block the passage of the sperm from where it's produced to the outside. And as a result, even if they are producing a fluid, it may be devoid of any sperm, and therefore it might result in infertility. Yeah, so like in Zambia, we have options that may be either for a woman or a male. After being assessed, obviously we'll be able to arrive at a possible cause, whether it's related to a woman's issue with failing to ovulate, then perhaps medication can be administered to her that may help her to ovulate. If it's possible that there could be an issue that like a blockage of her tubes, and it's assessed and whether it's possible to operate and be able to overcome that obstruction. And then obviously there may be other factors that you look at. For men, obviously they have to look at their quality of sperms, whether there could be an issue at play like an infection that may be damaging their seed, and maybe treatment can be administered to try and deal with that. And whether it's a hormonal issue that is affecting the production of their sperm, our colleagues, the urologists, will be able to assess and treat them appropriately. But there are other options, obviously, in other developed countries where you may have what they call assisted reproductive technologies, which we generally call as IVF, or artificial fertilization in a layperson's term, where you've tried the initial treatment, or you've found that they have a problem that you cannot treat and may require assisted fertilization. Then those can be administered, and a couple may achieve a pregnancy and in the end bear a child.
Woman 360 always likes to be very interactive. Be with us, chat with us as we are on social media. Go to Facebook, like the page Woman 360, and be part of the chat by telling us how you feel this is engraved on a person, or how deep this is in society, and sometimes how it is just very quiet though very loud, if you know what I mean. So go to Facebook on Woman 360 and tell us what you think about this. Give us your comment, be part of the show. Talking about being interactive, we went into the streets of Lusaka to just get opinions of how this can affect a woman, and these are the views that we got from the people in the streets of Lusaka.
Anyway, it's not fair. It's not fair. Okay, we are human. So it's only the doctor who can tell who has a problem. It's only God gives, so they just have to be patient.
It's a pity, but still, at least a medicine can be given to those people that they start to have the children. Because even the Western there is a medicine that can be given to them to start having their child. Because even me, as I'm saying, I can formulate a medicine for them. Because first you have to start where is that problem coming from before you solve it. Then after that problem is solved, it's all and forever and forgotten. I don't think it is only women that have a problem, because when you are a two-side, there is a man and there is a woman who should have a child. A child should not only come from a man. A child should come from a woman and a child should come from a man. So there should not be an interception of saying, no, you are a problem maker, I am a problem maker. Let the doctor check to see who has a problem. If that problem belongs to that one, let that person be helped.
The blame shouldn't be laid on a woman only. No one knows who has a problem between the two. Otherwise, it has been unfortunate that most of the time the blame is put on women, which is not the case, shouldn't be the case.
What should be done? I think our government, and especially individual couples, before they get married, I think it's possible or it's important for them to go and be checked, especially on their blood group, because sometimes it may be a problem of their blood group is not matching for them to produce kids. And secondly, also to check both couples, to the man and the woman, to see who is impotent and who is able to produce. Yes. And when there's such a problem, it means there are so many interventions that can be put into place for them to conceive, or let alone if they can't conceive, they should be cancelled. There are churches out there.
Okay, we've had the doctor have his say. We've had various people give different opinions of how this really can affect society and how it can affect the woman herself. Now let's go to the traditionalist, where there are so many customs, so many norms, and could be solutions as well. But then, highly debatable. I caught up with a traditionalist, and this is what I got from the chat.
Well, as far as I know, in the African tradition, barrenness is not, something that people would be happy. In fact, in the African society, all the people would like everybody to have a family, because a family was considered to be part of wealth. If, say, someone gets married, he or she expects to have some children, and those children were part of the wealth. The more children one or a couple had, then the more wealth they are going to have in terms of cultivation. For example, they would cultivate a big piece of land. And in fact, when it comes to marriages, if they have many girls, when they get married, some customs, demand cattle. Sometimes per girl, if a girl gets married, they would demand maybe 20 cattle to give. Well, this is exactly in the traditional society. If you don't have children, then it was very unfortunate, because you won't have wealth. It's because the children themselves were considered to be wealth. Just as today people are working in employment and they earn a lot of money, they've got a lot in the bank. But in those days, they depended on having many children. And that's why, in the past, you would find that each person would have maybe 15 children, 20 children, or somewhere even entering into polygamy, that having many wives so as to have many children.
What about in today's world? What does it mean not having a child?
Well, today's world, because of, the Christianity, here we believe in those who get married, since they are two and they've made, they have pledged that they'll be together till death parts them. It doesn't bother at all. They will continue to stay together till death, according to the Christian principles. So this wouldn't bother much. Although some, of course, would need to have children. And that's why they seek medical attention. For example, in the traditional society, if they don't have, a couple gets married and they don't have children, then the parents would ask them to look for a herbalist, someone to help them with some herbs. Then they would get in touch with those specialists in herbs and give them the herbs. And indeed, some of them, after taking those herbs, they used to have children. This is why, in fact, in Africa, within the African tradition, this has been a problem. If there is no child in a couple, really the parents get worried. And the blame always was on the woman. It was always on the woman. But why? They couldn't look on the other side at all to say it's that woman. And then you could find that sometimes even the parents would advise their son to say, leave this girl. Come on, marry another one. Or they bring another girl, they say, here is the girl, marry, you, chitamfie, tachifiala. Something like that. And this is what they used to do, which was very unfair. Compared to, even in the religious circles, it's very unfair according to Christianity in that way. Today we are talking about gender equity and that, but those days it never applied. The woman was always a second class citizen, was always considered as a second class citizen. Let me say, if it happens that after some years, then they tried to look for Nanga or the herbalists, and they give them those herbs, to take. And if that child, if that woman